Today we're going to be talking about the rosy red minnow, which is an off-species of the fathead minnow. When people message me questions about this fish, it's usually regarding two different avenues. A, you're looking to use this fish as a feeder fish to feed other bigger predators, or B, you're looking to keep this fish as a pet and you're looking for care info on how to take care of this fish as a pet. So let's deep dive down this avenue on the rosy red minnow care and using them as feeders because I really want to talk about this. By the way, I forgot to tell you guys who I am. I'm Chris with Palmer Aquatics, and fish aquarium stuff is my life. This is my passion. I have my body covered in tattoos that are regarding fish tanks. Like, if you like fish tanks, subscribe to this channel because it's all I talk about. I just woke up today. I'm about to make some breakfast. I slept in a little late, feeling a little guilty about it, but what can you do? It feels good to sleep. Humans need sleep, right, guys? So without further ado, please subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like for me personally. It helps the channel. And let me know in the comment section what your plans are with rosy red minnows while you listen to me talk about them. So if you go into your local big chain pet store, most likely you're going to see what looks like this. Here's the rosy red minnows sold as 16 cents as you can see. So yes, they are super cheap and easily accessible. The question is this a fish you keep as a pet or is this sold as a feeder? The answer is both. You can keep the rosy red minnow as a pet and you can also use it as a feeder to feed other predator fish as food. Let's first talk about using the rosy red minnow as a feeder because this is pretty simple and I want to just talk about it clean cut and dry. The rosy red minnow is a decent feeder. It is hand over fist better of a feeder fish than comet goldfish. As you can see that tank right there, that's my little daughter Avery. Give this video a like for how cute she is, man. Come on. The comet goldfish is sold as a feeder, and it is a terrible, terrible choice to be feeding your fish as a feeder. So the rosy red minnow is a much, much better option for a feeder fish. There is a caveat to that, though. The rosy red minnow still isn't the greatest of feeder fish. It is a subspecies of a fathead minnow. It's a man-made fish, but what happens is these fish are raised in farms and they're full of parasites just like goldfish, but at less of a rate of goldfish, if that makes any sense. It's less potent per se. If you're going to be using rosy reds as feeders, I want to give you two bits of advice. Number one, when you buy these rosy red minnows, keep them in a separate tank and treat them for parasites. It is super annoying to do, I know, but get yourself some antifungal parasite medication. There's tons and tons of different brands, and treat them, and then feed them to your fish after a set amount of time to make sure they're not full of parasites. Or secondly, what you can do is feed them very rarely. This is the option I go with. I did this video 7 years ago, guys, and it's absolutely garbage of a video, and that's why I'm rehashing this video to rebuttal myself. So back to what I was saying. Feed them very rarely, and when I say rarely, I mean like once a month or even maybe once every 2 months, because this is a bait fish. This is a subspecies of a fathead minnow. So it's essentially like you going to the bait store and just buying fathead minnows and feeding them to your fish. Yes, they're probably a little less parasitic per se because they're from a pet store, but guys, this is essentially a fathead minnow in a different coloration. And you might be asking yourself, well, Chris, what do I feed my feeders? I need feeder fish, and where do I get them? The best feeder fish is guppies. Try to go to a different local fish store and find feeder guppies. They're a lot safer of a feeder to feed. All right, guys, I'm jumping off that topic, and we're going to start talking about the rosy red minnows and keeping them as pet fish, essentially, because it's sort of weird to mix these two together, because this fish is a feeder fish on one side, and on the other, people are keeping them as pets, but this is just the brutal reality of what's happening. All right, so let's talk about tank setup and rosy red minnow care, because a lot of people want to keep these fish as pets and have them as friends in their aquariums and ponds. I'll start out by saying this is one of the easiest fish on the planet to keep as a pet. What happens though is they die on people a lot, and the reason they're dying on people is because they're full of parasites. This is essentially a fathead minnow that's raised in these huge, ginormous fish farms, and they're full of parasites. So what I would do immediately when you get your fish to keep them as pets is treat them for parasites. There's a handful of different brands of medications. It's super easy to do. I find that a lot of people don't do it, and they just keep buying more fish, and then the ones that survive, they just keep those as pets. But guys, just don't be afraid to treat them for parasites because it's super easy. I'll throw a link in the description box to one of my favorite medications that's super easy to use. After you get past the fact of treating their parasites, these fish are super easy to keep, man. This is one of the most prolific, toughest fish on the planet, and the reason is because they can adapt to any types of water. Still moving water, fast moving water, hot water, cold water. The temperature variations of these fish are absolutely crazy, and that's why people can keep them in ponds. Most people keep these fish in cold water setups with koi fish, with goldfish. They're super popular in ponds because they're so prolific. You can literally toss them in your fish pond and they're just going to breed like crazy. You'll come out a couple months later and be like, wow, I have 100 of these and I started with 10 of them. This is absolutely crazy. These fish grow to around 2 to 3 inches long. I would say a minimum aquarium size of 20 gallons would be adequate. These fish are super easy to keep, guys. Like literally you can give them any kind of flake food. They're going to adapt. This is a tough, prolific fish. They're actually becoming actually found in nature because people are letting them go and they're surviving in these natural habitat cold water lakes. So it just shows you how easy these fish are to keep. They're super cheap. You saw earlier in the video 16 cents for one of them. That's absolutely crazy. So get yourself an aquarium. I would say a 20-gallon minimum in size is going to be best. Some people keep them in ponds. That's totally fine. I highly advise that you treat these for parasites. I'll throw a link in the description for one of my favorite medications on treating fish for parasites. Super easy, guys. Just do it, please. These fish will live so much longer if you treat them for parasites. And get yourself a filter. Make sure your aquarium is cycled because that's a huge deal. Cycling, a lot of people screw that up. You can get some auto cycling. You can get some used media from the fish store and throw it in your filter. You need to cycle your aquarium. That is probably one of the biggest deals of all. And other than that, guys, these fish they're so prolific that I have so much faith in these fish that they're going to do well. And don't give up though, because I've kept a lot of these fish and have had a lot of them die personally, and the reason is because of their parasites. I promise you, if you can get rid of those parasites, these fish are going to live a prolific life. They're going to breed like crazy. You're going to just be fascinated. Once your fish start breeding, you're going to be hooked to this hobby. So that's why I need these fish to live for you and breed, because it's so much fun. All right, guys, let me know in the comments section what you're going to be doing with rosy red minnows. Please subscribe to the channel. I love fish tanks. This is what I do. I have 3 different channels. If you're looking to become a member and kind of donate, I have a handful of members that donate every month. It's $1.99 a month, literally $2 a month. It really helps me continue to upgrade my videos and just do cool things like this. And I don't know, guys, give this video a like for the love of fish keeping, and let's keep these animals healthy and give them good lives in these glass boxes. Woo!